Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the WDYSA Anime Podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the Trypanophobiacs of the WDYSA Anime Podcast will be reviewing the 2009 anime Kuuchuu Buranko, or Welcome to Irabu's Office. Let's meet today's admittance. Our first patient suffering the complications of his gluteus reconstruction, we got BBLJ. Jay, how's it going?
I was going to say condition, throat goat.
Nope, this is how you just twerking that thing.
All right. Hold on. I got to get on my knees for this podcast.
Next up, suffering the complications of elephantitis in his third leg, we got Kat. Kat, how's it going?
I was honestly completely sure you were about to say BBL Cat. And I was going to be so mad.
We can only have one BBL in this Discord, and it's Jay.
I thought you were going to make a light-skinned joke. I was so...
No, I pushed my luck on the last episode.
Yeah, you did.
Our first moderator tonight, suffering from everything known to man, we got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
It's going well, and like unironically, half of the things that this show discusses. It's great.
Perfect. And Pat.
I'm perfectly healthy. Hell yeah. Love to hear that.
Nobody said that.
I know. Doing all right. I'm alive. Made it back to the United States without getting in trouble for smuggling all the produce that I had in my checked baggage, you know? So it's a joke, to be very clear.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Are you bringing any oranges through customs? Why would I do that?
Go find
It's
him.
actually a rare songbird that he was carrying in his trench coat.
Yeah, I had to like cover it up and I was just like, I had some really weird gas when it started chirping, you know, and they bought it. Those Canucks, they bought it. So yeah, let's talk about Welcome to Irabu's Office. It's a show from 2009. I thought it was, I don't know if I thought it was older or not. Maybe it fits for the era though. Before anime got good. So Miles, keep that in mind before you give your score. I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, but yeah, done by Studio Toei, known for they did Dragon Ball, everything, One Piece, right? Like everything. Yeah, they're a very famous studio. So yeah, let's get right into it. The themes are avant-garde, drama, medical, and psychological. It's sourced from a novel. And yeah, let's do our opening thoughts, spoiler-free. Miles, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I'd been nominating this off and on because it has the same director as Mononoke, which was a watch club show that we liked and was like pretty weird and up my alley. I also knew that I could get Haz to watch this if I nominated, and he watched it, but he's not here, so rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Anyways, I had a great time with the show. I thought it was wonderful. I will say, like, I have OCD, and like half of these episodes are about OCD patients, so perhaps that affected my viewing of it in some way, you know, because it's something that I am intimate with. But I had a great time. I thought the cast was neat. I thought the way that he interacted with the characters were great. I like the weird bits, like the actual doctor coming in to like confirm or deny the things Irabu is saying, which was fun. And so yeah, I mean, I would recommend this. I think it's definitely worth a watch.
There you go. I did not realize it was done by the same guy as Mononoke. That's cool. I can definitely see it now that I've watched it, but did not realize that. All right, cool. Kat, what about you?
This show is avant-garde as hell. And I really enjoyed it in a way that I wasn't expecting to, because normally when it comes to avant-garde shows, I mean, one of the ones that comes to mind is Sunny Boy. And I feel like I enjoyed this a little bit more than I enjoyed Sunny Boy, mainly because of the medical focus. And it kept me hooked throughout the entire show. It also had some really nice creative choices that helped me not get tired of the show, which we can get into a little bit later. But overall, I really enjoyed the show. I would recommend it if you are in a place where you are mentally able to decode some of the things that are going on.
Yeah, you don't want to like self-diagnose yourself watching the show. I agree. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would too. That was I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. But all right, sweet. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I compared like the first couple episodes to a YouTube video called "The Worst Beat Ever Created." Trent, if you could play that for me. Thank you, Trent. Where when you start the song, it's like, okay, cool, this is like a nice little beat going on or whatever, I can get into it. But then like the dolphins come in, and then the cell phone starts ringing, and then the baby's crying. It's like, wow, they're adding a lot of layers on top of this story, and I'm trying to follow along with what's going on, and they just keep adding more and more and more to it, to the point where I felt like I was getting a little overwhelmed with what I was trying to consume. And by the end of the story, I enjoyed it, but the first couple episodes, I was not hooked. I'll be real. I much prefer the second half compared to the first half, but these first couple episodes it just seems like they was doing way too much of what I was looking for. So I wouldn't recommend this. It's just not really my type of my story. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's for me.
That's interesting because I just don't. We'll talk about it, but like I never viewed it as trying to do like a lot. I thought it was like pretty simple.
Well, I'll give you some examples. Don't you worry.
Okay.
I'll feed you, baby bird.
Thank you.
Don't
There
you
you go.
worry, don't you worry, child.
DMCA, bad cat, spray bottle.
Don't you fucking spray me.
Trent, play that last part backwards, so that we're good.
There we go. All right. Man, we're abusing our editor today. Shout out Trent, though.
That's what I pay him for.
That's true. Jay, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely mirror Pete a bit here and say that, honestly, to be real with you, I binged this over 2 days because I was very busy the last 2 weeks. And I went into it thinking, this is something I'm going to vibe with, just based off of, like, reading about it. I'm kind of like the resident weirdo when it comes to anime here. Like, I just love all the really weird shit. I love Sunny Boy. And I'm going to mirror Pete and say that the first few episodes just really did not capture me. I think it took until, like, episode 4 or 5 for me to really, really kind of get into it. And it improved from there, but it's definitely a rough start. And I'm not sure if people who aren't really into like weird avant-garde stuff would be super into this, honestly. So I would recommend it with the caveat if you're looking to add something weird to your like, watch list or completed list, whatever you want to call it. If you want something you can kind of flex on people and say, look what weird shit I watched, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise, maybe just watch Sunny Boy instead.
Yeah.
You're cat, Sunny Boy better.
You guys stole my thunder. I was about to say this is something I would recommend to like Jay and maybe Miles, but no one else really, or people like you guys. Like in terms of your interests and what you
Weirdos,
like.
sickos,
sick fucks. Yeah, no,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
People who need psychiatric help. Obviously,
187.
The dude who
Is that
walks
a
the
Logic
streets of New York
reference?
City with what?
Is that a Logic
187
reference?
Isn't the 187 murder?
Yeah, it's murder, death, kill. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking the Logic song, but never mind. All right, sorry.
That one also.
Fair. All right, but yeah, so I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I really did. I liked it more than Sunny Boy, like Kat did as well. Probably because it was a little bit more grounded than Sunny Boy was, and a little less out there, I guess. I think it was just weirdly not deep, if that makes any sense. That like I was expecting it to go a little deeper with a lot of the stuff going on in the background or the overarching themes, but like at the surface level, I really did like the story that it was telling, and like, but I just kept waiting for it to like punch or something. And I don't know, I guess like we've all said, we'll probably talk about it later, but I think a good example is like I really liked how the story was interconnected. Like basically every character interacted with someone else during the story in different times. You even see characters that you didn't realize were going to be patients come in the first few episodes as well. I really liked that. But then I don't know, like why didn't it go further with that, or why didn't it explore the connectiveness of the of their symptoms beyond, again, like a very surface level connection, I guess. So I think we'll talk about it, but yeah. So I wouldn't I don't think I would ever recommend it to to me, but I would definitely recommend it to people who like avant-garde stuff and have also already, like the others have said, watched a lot of avant-garde stuff and are just looking for something to watch. So yeah, I guess that wraps up our spoiler-free part. At least, I mean, it's episodic by nature, so spoilers aren't too heavy going forward. But obviously, it does affect what happens, and you'll know how things are resolved. So yeah, without further ado, then let's get right in. Does anyone have that first talking point that they wanted to talk about? I don't know why that's came out of my mouth so weird.
You want me to start?
Yeah,
Sure.
Pete, go ahead. And
All right,
start.
cool. So I think that there is at least some form of symptom that we can connect to, whether we have it or something similar to it, or we live with somebody with it, that type of thing. And whether if those symptoms that were expressed in the show either added to your enjoyment, if it was like way too real and it kind of detracted you from the story. For example, for me was the cell phone episode. And while I don't think I'm necessarily addicted to my cell phone, is more of like technology. I feel like I'm more, checking Discord every like 10 minutes type of thing, where I do feel like that there is that sense of me wanting to go look on Twitter for like a few minutes, or, or at night dead browse Instagram, that type of thing. So that was an episode to me where like I kind of felt more connected to what they were explaining. And I like that episode the most because I could connect to it. While there were some other scenarios where like OCD, I don't have OCD. I don't know what it's like. I couldn't really relate to that storyline. And for me, like those were the episodes where I was like, okay, let's get to the next one. So wonder if you guys had any examples that you liked a lot or didn't like, if enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it, that type of jazz.
I can, if you don't mind, I'll hop in just because my first thought, like you said, to for your question, is the same thing with the cell phone thing. Like I every Sunday I get my screen time report and I grimace.
Yep.
like it's really bad. It's usually like in the 12 to 14 hour range, which of course is accounting for work and everything else I do on my phone and on my screens. But it's like, holy moly, it's bad sometimes. I think the other episode that I really liked, or that I could relate to, was the Yips episode.
100%. That was my second favorite as well.
The sports psychology almost one, where again, it's something that they talk about a lot in golf, is like the chipping yips or putting yips, where it's just like you just can't do it all of a sudden. And baseball is I guess a very similar sport in that sense, where if you just can't throw, I mean, they over exaggerate it in this obviously, but you just can't hit a throw anymore. It's weird. And you don't know how to shake it. I've gone through the yips as a soccer player. Like in my career, I've had ups and downs too, and it's really, really tough to shake them without either actual help from a psychiatrist, ideally not Irabu, in my opinion, or without just eventually breaking it by changing up your routine, changing your warm up, remastering what you were doing, like from down to the fundamentals. I mean, it's that those episodes, those two in particular, I was able to relate to. But like you said, I couldn't. I don't have OCD, and no one in my life directly, at least, has it that I know of. So it's not as easy to relate to the rest. Sorry, Kat, go ahead. I meant direct life, as in people I live with. That's why I specified Miles. Don't look at me like that. Sorry, Kat.
So me personally, so I've got ADHD. I've got really bad ADHD. I've had bad ADHD since I was younger, like since I was fucking a kid, dude. And one of the things that I used to do was okay, fuck you.
Well, you just said it. I mean, it's just the way you said it.
You know what I meant. Don't put that. Stop it. But since I was a since I was a kid, I've always had, like, when you're a kid and, like, you've got both parents sleeping on both sides of the bed, and then you get in the middle and it feels safe. Like, that's how it's always been for me. The one episode that really resonated for me, and it kind of felt like it read me for filth, is episode 8, the one where he's where the dude is so worried about burning his entire apartment complex down. And it's not as severe for me as, like, you know, having to check the door over and over again. It's about numbers. I read the same number like 10, 20 times to make sure that I've read it right, because I don't have dyslexia, but I feel like I've convinced myself that I do. So I have to do that over and over again. And it gets even worse with math problems. And that really resonated with me, because it's just like I cannot trust myself and trust myself to, like, make sure that that's fine. Like, that's what I did. I did everything I was supposed to. I always feel like there's something missing.
So you have OCD
And-
as well.
Well, OCD has symptoms. ADHD has symptoms of OCD, because OCD is basically like something that branches off into a bunch of different other mental disorders. So ADHD is basically a bundle of 10 other mental disorders wrapped into one. So
You're a doctor. I trust you.
There is very high
Need
comorbidity.
Fukuichi to come in and say if
Fuji,
what you
yes.
said was right.
Dr. BBL himself, yeah. Did you? I liked the twist episode too. Sorry, if someone else wanted to jump in, but it might have been the second or third to last episode with the boss or the
owner.
pseudo politician, the owner. Thank you. I liked how the twist at the end. I mean, it was definitely hinted at very well too. But like, oh yeah, he is just an old man that, you know, and I can relate a lot to some of what he was feeling as a very old man myself, you know, of just, oh, what about my career? What about my image? What am I leaving behind, my legacy, whatever, and stuff like that. That bothers me a lot. And I thought that they did a very good job of illustrating, I guess, that feeling that you can have when you're, and you know, I'm nowhere near the role that guy has, but I'm part of a team. I'm part of a brand, so to speak, and how I carry myself affects that brand. And I think that that's they did a really good job of illustrating that and how that like pressure can build on you.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I guess, like, to continue the thought here. So, like, I have like anxiety. So the first episode, just with the general anxiety disorder, and like the panic attack episode, like, hit me pretty well. I don't know how often here people have panic attacks, but I have them relatively frequently. You know, maybe a couple of times a year or so. And so, you know, that feeling was well translated. Alternatively, for whatever reason, there was like 7 episodes on OCD.
Yeah, there was.
yeah.
There was.
And I also have OCD. One of my compulsions also is like repetitive vomiting. So episode 2, I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. Like, as someone who has this, to see that sort of happen. And then I
You
was
mean
like,
episode 3?
is it 3?
Yeah, episode 2 means you have chronic erections.
Yeah, you.
Yup.
I forgot about that episode. Oh my god, that one escaped my brain.
Not even just a chronic, I guess chronic kind of, but just lasting like forever, right?
As
Too much Viagra.
Yeah, as someone who has OCD and always has a heart on.
That's why this podcast is top half up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're here. Except for I have
That's
to like.
why you were hunched over.
my-
the
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
time at
Yes,
the concert.
yeah, that's why I kept on being hunched over at the. I was just really excited.
Mom's wearing a trench coat. It's 90 degrees out.
Yeah. I thought that was like really neat to like see a specific compulsion of mine like represented in that way too, because I think when people think of OCD, it's always like the orderly sort of neat freaky thing that's like the majority of, I guess, like how I see it portrayed in media. But there's a lot of different things that can happen here. Like I've been seeing a psychiatrist on and off mostly, but since I was like 10 or so. And so like one of the things was like when I was growing up, I couldn't brush my teeth because I was always convinced that the toothpaste had been poisoned. And I would like sleep in different rooms because I thought someone was like watching me and like trying to notice patterns and stuff like that. You know, and so you get a lot of that sort of paranoia brought out through the way that the show is cut the way that it does sort of its more avant-garde, things with the switching of 3D to live action, unconventional cutting from scene to scene, just a lot of things that sort of put that struggle, of like knowing that you're thinking of something or obsessing over something that like probably isn't true or real, but you can't like ever get past that, which is, I thought the one, the cat was talking about, like sort of shows that like he knows he turned everything off and he does things in order to um prove it, right?
Yeah.
To like, he'll keep the water running or something, but that adds to it. There's like no winning through it. It's just like an irrational, ever growing dread in the back of your mind until you do the thing that lets you confirm that it's okay or whatever. And then you're given momentary relief, and that feeds into itself because you like the way that you defeat it without like therapy and medication and all of that is by giving into it. And so it sort of builds this thing where we see that like reporter's life sort of spiral because he keeps giving into that obsession. And so I don't know, I thought it did a great job with that, of just sort of showing the different ways symptoms can manifest for people, and sort of showing how stressful it is to be going through heavy episodes of it, right? Like it is not a comfortable thing. And I think everyone would agree that like the cutting and stuff of this presents it to it's not a fun watch in the way that like it's disconcerting in a way. It puts you off your center a bit. And I think that's good.
Yeah. I completely agree because, like what you said, it's really hard to. I haven't seen many representations of OCD and not like, oh, my house is just completely clean. Oh no, there's a speck of dust. Let me go ahead and clean that up. It's not that. It is so much more visceral and painful.
All right. Jay, did you have a show or not show, an episode that you wanted to chat about?
No, I didn't really have any of the episodes that I related to. Like I've got, stuff going on, but none of it's really like OCD or compulsive fears or anything like that.
Really was every other episode for
It
the
was.
OCD. I felt I was like, oh, I'm eating. Anyone who doesn't care about this is not.
I was watching through it and I was like, Miles is either gonna hate this show or love this show. I don't know which one it's gonna be.
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough. Okay. I have a question. Mayumi is a great character. She's very fun. Would this show not be the exact same without her, save the single cell phone episode where she talks to the kid? Like,
well, no, the author she talks to, and
Yeah,
like
she
tells
talks
him
to him
to
at the
write
end. Yeah.
the books that like she wants to
okay.
write. I think that she's admittedly like a supporting role, but
The
I
best
think
character.
she's wonderful. But she does interact with the people. She's sort of like a very blunt person, I guess, and she has interactions with almost all of the characters that tell us something about them. Like I know she interacts with the baseball player, Bando, some. I don't think if she was all of a sudden gone, the core of the show would be gone, but I think you'd be missing some personality from it.
Yeah. I just, it was very like, oh my God, here comes another scene where she's going to inject and Irabu's going to lose his shit. And,
I just didn't like Irabu getting all horny.
Yeah,
about
he
it.
was sweating.
That was literally it. I didn't mind her doing the injection because it's like a transformation thing with the animal stuff. But
It's actually-
it was Irabu
sorry.
moaning at me that I didn't enjoy.
It's actually something that I actually really enjoyed about the show later, in that the first 2 episodes like had it in its full, and they cut a lot of it out. The following episodes, that's what I meant by they kind of kept that thing fresh instead of just continuing to pile on with that same trope over and over and over again.
It's the Patriots magical girl transformation sequence that always gets cut to a shorter version mid-season.
Exactly.
Wasn't there like an anime where it's like, do they actually do like the magical thing? They just like literally press fast forward on it, and I forgot what anime that was. But
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It's like a pop. It's not Pop Teen Epic, but it's something similar to that, where it's just like, yeah. We've seen this 30 times. Just hit the fast forward button.
Utena takes the shit out of it, where it has this extremely like elaborate transformation scene for her. Like she like opens up these gates, there are like fountains going. She walks up the spiral staircase to this like tower in the sky for what feels like a minute every episode, and then she gets shoulder pads.
Hell yeah.
Padded? It's like, yeah, they're, I don't know, like the marching band ones,
Sure.
you know, with the little thing. Yeah, it's like,
Epaulets.
is that what they're called? Yeah, okay. So she gets
Yeah.
like that and like a little cord, and like that's the entirety of the transformation.
Fun.
It's, you know, like we talked about, like I guess like the plights that these characters were going through, but there are storylines, there's interconnected storylines and everything, which I thought were pretty interesting. But what storyline did you guys, you know, either episode or series of them, did you guys like the most?
I like Bando a lot. He was my favorite character. I could relate to him with like the yips and stuff, but sort of I did like his like approach of trying to handle the yips, and like, you know, he's at the tail end of his career. I think he said he was like a 10-time All-Star. There's this up and coming third baseman that's like right behind him that's going to take his spot, and he wasn't ready to quit yet. And I thought that was a fun little storyline that I could like get behind, because I like that sports storyline of the aging veteran and the up and coming prospect, and trying to like, it ain't my time yet. I got one more round in me type of thing. The Brett Favre gunslinger mentality before he starts siphoning money from the state of Mississippi. Like that's where Bando's heading, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, it's the Kirk Cousins in Atlanta with Michael Penis Jr. backing him up.
Michael Penis.
Why Michael Penis?
The Falcons tweeted it. That's all I'm saying. They did tweet it.
His last name, Cat, is Penix.
I know.
Nah, so penis.
It's very close.
Penis is close.
One
That's a
letter
penis.
off of penis.
That's what the Falcons were saying on the after their first round pick. Yeah.
But sorry, to tie into like the whole storyline, but like with the story itself, that there were like some episodes that were interconnected, and then there's some that like really weren't, and that kind of threw me off with like trying to connect to the story. While I do think that there were reasons why those episodes existed, I thought we were going to get like a paranoia agent where like it was all sort of intertwined, but it really wasn't. It was more of like 3 of the 6 storylines were like the main focus. And that's where that kind of lost me with trying to connect to the story. But like Bando, big fan of his, and then he kind of had like a minor part in like the final conclusion of the story. But that's the one that I really resonated with and liked a lot.
Yeah, that complaint is something that I resonate with, because it's I kind of touched on it in my opening thoughts. But yeah, I was like waiting for everyone to come together, whether that's at the Christmas party at, you know, Irabu's or something, you know, especially with the fact that somehow this doctor is treating all of these patients every single day, like the same days. I mean, again, like it builds up like it's getting to that point, and it just doesn't, which annoyed me. Again, it does it for some of them, but not all of it, which you would expect. Like I just kept expecting for that, like that stinging moment where it all ties together, and it just never happened.
I think it's good that it doesn't do that. I guess, you know, I was just sort of viewing it differently. Like I liked that some of them connected to each other. You know, you had like a father, you know, like you could like see the connection between the son who has the cell phone addiction and like wanting people to care him, with like an absentee father who is like very stressed about his job, everything like that. Right. That shows some sort of like cycle of, you know, mental health issues and all of that. And I think that that's important. But if the thing with like Paranoia Agent is that was a mass hysteria, you know.
No, for sure. It like
fiction.
I get like why those episodes exist, but like we kind of mentioned before we started recording, you know how like when we did Blood Blockade Battlefront, there's like 5 episodes that are anime original and they don't really like tie into the main storyline and they're like not interconnected to it. That's kind of how I felt, where it's like, okay, like there are cool fights and stuff, but like what does this mean to the integral plot? And to me, like it didn't, like you could cut episode 2 and it would be the same story. Like I don't know if we would like really miss anything if we cut a few episodes. And if this was 8 episodes instead of 11, I think I would have given it, I actually might have given it a higher score depending on how I was feeling that day. But like I do think like there's some, it's more of this. I think there are some episodes that are way more important than other ones, that, and the ones that aren't important could easily be cut and it'd be the same story.
I just don't think that you should be looking at it as if it has a story. I think that
I think it does have a story at the end. There's even like the end scene is like the conclusion of the message that it was sending in the last like storyline, where like it's okay to not be okay. Everybody's going through their problems. Like I think like that was like the message that it's sent, but like I feel like episode 2 is more for like laughs and not for like the plot, and it wasn't necessarily necessary.
Well, like, I think that I genuinely think that that's like looking at it like incorrectly, right? Because like I think an expectation, like if what the messaging of the story is, right, is that it's okay to not be okay, and that like we should be aware of mental health and like get help for like all of that stuff, right? So like that isn't, it's not always so tied up and pretty like that, right? So having these episodic episodes, I think is good, because you see people, you get like if everything was connected to like one person or one storyline or whatever, it sort of gives a false impression, in my opinion, of like how these symptoms, how these conditions come about, you know, because like that, and again, I think it's partially because I've experienced so many of these things, right? Like I have a lot of mental health struggles that like I immediately started viewing this as like, okay, this is sort of like a PSA, you know, and I think the appearance of that doctor to do that is just sort of how I viewed it. I'm not saying that like if you're watching this for like an interconnected story like any other anime that you would be disappointed because it has some of that and then also it doesn't sometimes, like that's super valid, but I guess I just think that it would also lose something if you tied it up separately.
Okay, so I'm gonna tie this into a different medical drama / comedy, and I'm gonna tie this into House.
Scrubs.
I was about to say House, because that's so good.
Because House, it is episodic. Like, you know, he solves case A, next episode he solves case B, but while he's solving those cases, there's like an intertwining of the characters, the main cast or whatever, and like that storyline is happening behind the scenes or in the little cut scenes while they're solving the case, and that's kind of like how the story flows.
Mm-hmm. With this, like your A plot, B plot.
Yeah, like, with this, it's like, I mean, it for anime sense, it just felt like filler, where like it wasn't necessarily necessary. It was fun, and like I enjoyed some of, like the penis episode was fun. I laughed, but like if that episode didn't exist, it would be the exact same for me. It's kind of like where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I guess my thought is then it wouldn't be the same because you wouldn't have an episode representing that sort of mental disorder.
Yeah, but like the thing is like the show, I think with the show, it's like we understand the message. I think you could understand the message in 8 episodes versus 11 the exact same way. Like we get it. Like everybody's going through this stuff. That's the message that it's trying to send throughout the story. I don't think having the penis episode is necessary.
I guess, again, I think I'll disagree. There's 2 things. One, love House, big fan of House. Not all of the ages super well, but I did enjoy it a lot at the time and probably still would. However, House is about House, right? House is not about the patients, right? House is a drama about doctors.
And lupus.
And it's never lupus except for that one time it was
twice.
Lupus.
It happened twice.
It happened twice? Yep. Okay. Well, they really got me that time.
Also, this is different from House because Mayuki says, I don't do minors, whereas House has a doctor who kisses a child on the mouth.
Yeah, but he's hot, so it's fine.
Mayuki's hot too.
No.
Yes.
And
doesn't do that.
whoa, the same doctor murders an African warlord.
He
So
does.
Based.
Yeah, Chase is the goat.
Well,
yeah,
No,
yeah,
Chase is unironically my favorite character in House.
Yeah.
He is good, and he's now in Chicago Fire as Lieutenant Casey. Whatever.
That's-
his last
Nobody
name
gives a
is.
shit about
You watch
Chicago
all
Fire.
of
Nobody's
People
watching that
shows.
but you.
Yes, they are. Watch Ion
watching
exists for a
Chicago
reason.
Fire.
This is because the average age
No,
in
we
Pat's house is 65.
It's true. Well, every Tuesday is Chicago Fire Tuesday,
We've
and
done this before. This exact conversation.
yes, exactly. And it's a fun show. All right,
How do you feel about
not.
blue? How do you feel about blue?
How do you feel about
that's on,
911
that's on
Lone
Wednesday.
Star?
No, that's not on Ion, so I haven't watched
Are
it.
you an
but
NCIS or an
You
NCIS
watch it on
Hawaii guy?
Yeah, my grandmother watches Ion all day, every day. That's what I put on
She's
for
a
her.
real
So she,
Ion head.
yeah, she
Oh
is.
my-
NCIS is on
my
Sundays.
granddad watches Ion every single day, dude.
I bet he
You are-
watches Chicago Fire.
Chicago
No,
Fire on
I
Tuesdays.
bet he does.
Every week, Pat has to go to the store and get weekly Ion Jump for his grandma.
She would love it. She would love it because she could read it over and over again. And
The
like,
median age of Ion television is 60, by the way, in case
I
you
love
were
that.
wondering.
Checks
I bring that number way down.
It's
Probably.
50%.
You do. My granddad is like
35 to
72.
64.
It makes sense. It's and like the ads that you see on it too. Like you see like insurance stuff. You see Camp Lejeune stuff. You see
Yeah, yeah.
you see life insurance. You see
Erectile
pet food.
dysfunction.
Pet food. Yeah, you do see those too. You see a bunch of stuff like that. That just all. It's like, man, it's like I'm not supposed to be watching this right now. It's like it's marketed for a stay-at-home.
It's good to
Elderly
know
and
about for
mom.
the future.
It's a banger television show, or you can even learn like the commercial.
You're part
break
of
times,
the. You're
too.
part of the 23%, the 18 to 49.
Yeah.
for Ion.
You can learn the
You
timings
should get
of like when
you're a
episodes
20.
come back.
You should start calling yourself a 23%er. Just put that in your bio.
I am one of the 23%. Yeah, there we go.
23% of Americans. Wait,
I can't
no.
wait.
No.
I can't wait
This
to
is
watch
getting-
Chicago Fire tomorrow. I like genuinely now. I'm excited.
Let us know.
It's gonna be good.
fire.
Yo, check
I'll
out
give you guys a
check out our
review.
spin-off podcast. What do you
No,
say,
Pat,
Chicago
Pat,
Fire?
you want to record a Chicago
Trilogy.
Fire podcast?
Yes.
That
Well,
would
because
slap.
do we
Oh.
start with Chicago Med and then do Chicago
No,
Fire
we're
and then
actually-
Chicago PD, the final, like the trios?
We talk
Should
about
do that?
Chicago Fire and the MLS team. It's a duo podcast.
Is the Chicago
Oh.
Fire the MLS
Yeah.
team?
That's their name.
That's a
yeah.
banger name.
It is a banger
actually.
name.
I'll give them that.
And I'll be giving a talk about how the Chicago Fire led to the rise
A
of
cow kicked it.
yeah, wait, what's his name? This is gonna sound psycho.
Oh, P.T. Barnum.
No, that's way more normal than what I'm about to say. No, not John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Casey.
No, it's not him.
What? This fire happened
The
like
serial
18
killer?
H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes. That's the
H.H.
serial
Holmes.
killer I was
That's
thinking
who I was
of.
thinking
We are
of.
talking serial
Sorry.
killers.
No,
Isn't
was that
P.T.
who you were thinking? P.T. Barnum's the circus guy.
That's episode one.
Barnum
Also,
and Rose.
the former mayor of Bridgeport, Connecticut. There's a
That
fucking
makes so much sense. I'm
There's-
sorry. That makes an immense amount of sense.
There's a serial killer who was named Barnum. I'm telling you.
I do appreciate that you got the vibe, except for I guess H.H. Holmes. Oh yeah, H.H. Holmes. Yeah. So
I
anyway,
was
the re-
thinking of the murder house guy.
yeah,
I
that's
just
him.
thought the
I
name
like
wrong.
that you were on the vibe, even though you thought that he was the circus guy.
He probably
guys.
killed somebody.
Oh, for
to be honest.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's
He was in
reel
the
it in.
circus.
we will reel it in. So as
Let's
I was
reel it
saying-
in.
yeah,
Chicago Fire.
Yes, thank
okay,
you.
yes, exactly.
Like,
Uh,
We're going back to Chicago Fire, the show that nobody except for you
Can we
cares
please keep the discussion Chicago Fire related?
I would like to pivot to 911, the more recent and more hip version of Chicago Fire.
that has Rob Lowe, the biggest fan of.
I was talking about
Fucker right in the
Yeah,
pussy.
no.
911 Lodestar. I don't give a shit about that show.
Well, what about Fire Country, the actual
Jesus Christ.
Fire Country show.
I'm
that
like, I feel like
No.
you're literally like sucking my youth out by talking about
I
this.
know. How do you think I feel every day?
Like in that
house?
episode of Dungeon
Like-
Meshi where Laios gets like half aged, that's what's happening to me right now.
Okay. So
you guys keep me young. That
as I was saying to Pete, House is like a show about House and the doctors and how they have sex with each other.
Yep.
Um,
They do fuck a lot.
and they do. They're horny. They're all really hot and horny.
I wouldn't say really hot.
Ooh. I would
They're
say
not
most of
Grey's
them are really
Anatomy.
hot.
They're not Grey's Anatomy.
They're
Oh.
okay. Chase is
whoa.
really hot.
Yeah, okay. Name 4 more.
Okay.
Omar Epps,
13,
Hugh-
really hot.
Hugh Lowry,
Jennifer Morrison.
Jennifer Morrison.
yeah.
is
What's
so
his
hot.
face? Halpin doesn't count because he literally
Lisa-
kills himself.
Lisa Cuddy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would fuck Lisa Cuddy.
Clip
Olivia
that.
Wilde plays the
Olivia
character.
Wilde.
Uh,
Yes, she's 13. That's what
She's a
Pete said,
lesbian.
yeah.
in
House
House.
takes place in the same
Kind
universe
of.
as Harold and Kumar because he
Don't
was
forget-
trying to become a doctor in that.
He left to go to the White House. He left the
He
show
did.
to go work for the White House, which is
He was
pretty
an
cool.
Obama aide.
Yes.
Like Allison
And Chris
Campbell.
Taub. Come on. Like,
Hey, he fucks.
McDreamy,
fucks.
McDreamy solos, I'm afraid.
Yeah, how'd that turn
Chase-
out for him?
Chase is
Oh, wait, he
hotter
got
than anyone on
murdered.
Grey's Anatomy.
Whoa, spoilers!
Yeah, McDreamy got shot.
Um,
We're smoking that McDreamy pack here. This is a
Your
House
favorite character in
podcast.
the house is a pedophile.
Jennifer Morrison is like the 5th hottest doctor on House, which means there are 5 hot doctors.
I
on
share a
House.
birthday with the really hot guy from Grey's Anatomy. I can't remember what his name is though.
Gray. Oh, she's a woman.
Patrick Dempsey.
No, he's from Maine though. I think.
I
this
have
is a
stayed
really
away
good
from.
episode.
I had a
Stayed away
girlfriend
from
in high school.
honestly.
I've watched 8 seasons of Grey's Anatomy.
I've watched like 4 episodes
And he's
of
from
Grey's
Lewiston.
Anatomy.
That sucks.
I-
bro. Sorry to hear it.
That's
My
okay.
name is Patrick.
Oh, God, this is my fault for being such a word.
It's true. Your name is Pat.
you did
this-
bring up House.
This is
Yeah,
like
but-
our daily life of high school boys where we talk about the show for like 20 minutes and then we just tell stories. for
Yeah, I
40.
have things to say here. I just have ADHD.
Guess what, Miles? Fuck you. We're talking about other medical dramas.
No,
I think
but
most
all right,
of
go
us
ahead.
have
Say what you have
ADHD.
to say.
Okay. So,
about
anyways,
House.
while this show is about like the patients, right? So, like House is about the doctors. The show is about the patients primarily. Like Irabu isn't a character; he's more of a force of nature.
I
And
can agree.
thank you. So like I think that that's part of the reason that you almost shouldn't expect these interconnecting plots because it's not about the doctor's like house where you can have that. It's about patients and patients come and go, and that's sort of the thing. Like again, I get wanting that, but I think that for what it is, as sort of like a PSA, like you literally have a real life doctor showing up on screen and like talking about it, right? So like the way that it does that is, to me, this is closer to Emiya-san, right? Where there isn't an ongoing plot, but it's highlighting food. This highlights mental illness.
So I agree with that, but then why interconnect them and hint that you're doing it and then not do
Because
it?
well,
And
they
that's
do
what
no,
bothers
but
me.
it absolutely does do it for some of them, right? It doesn't do it for every episode, but you have like you see the cell phone addiction son, you learn why that's happening partially, right? Because like he has this desire for affection, and his father is like an absentee father because his father is really stressed because of work, and it's all of that. So like it helps sort some of that out, but you're not gonna get that for every person. Some people just go in and have their thing happen and then leave. There's not always
Yeah.
like an underlying cause to all of this.
They have
Sometimes,
their
well, there is, but sometimes it's like genetic.
I like that there wasn't complete closure for some of them because sometimes that's just how therapy goes. You're
Yeah,
not
you
necessarily
keep
going
going.
to get better.
It's, yeah.
Like, or fully better. You can improve, but you might not be like 100. Like some things you can't like just shake them off. That's not really how mental illness works a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think like a real life story from this is say like I have like a big fear of contamination, and so I'm pretty frequently like throwing perfectly good stuff away because I'm like afraid that it's been tampered with or poisoned, and so I've been going to therapy about it. I've been seeing a psychiatrist about it. I'm medicated for it and all that jazz. But like, it's still a struggle. But there were hamburgers that had gone bad, but I cooked them because what you're supposed to do is like, if you're irrationally afraid of something, like keep going and like get through it and like do the thing. So I cooked Kayla and I bad beef and we got sick. But that's just a step in.
Are you sure you got sick because of the bad beef though? Because like knowing you
Maybe
guys,
Kayla put
Yeah,
something
true.
in there.
it could have. Oh God!
I did. I have thought
I thought
Kayla.
that's where you were going, Pat.
This is-
No, I was
Sorry.
saying just because they get sick all the time, like anyways. So like cooking the bad beef shouldn't matter in theory.
Oh my God.
Like-
Coop wasn't sick, which makes me think
Kayla
it
was just
probably
gonna
the beef.
poison you a little bit and then nurse you back to health.
I have thought Kayla
That
was
was-
poisoning me before because she was getting a pie dish down and she was like, "Oh, this is dirty. I need to wash it." And like my really great brain was like, "You would only tell me this to make me think that it was safe to eat from." And I had
I'm
to
sorry,
like I
shouldn't
literally
laugh at that, but
just
like,
it's funny,
I
right?
relate.
But like I like had to stand in front of a piece of fucking apple pie for about 45 minutes before I worked up the courage to eat any of it. And then I was worried the entire night that I wouldn't wake up.
You
you
die.
need a taster. I can just taste your food
Be
for
a
you. if
taster
you
for
want,
me,
bro.
thank you. Yeah, I should have been a king. That's
Let
what this
me-
is telling me.
When
Yeah.
Pete said, when you post food in Discord and Pete says, "Let me get a bite," that's what he's talking about. He wants
Yeah.
to test it for poison.
Oh god, I could use that. I don't know. I guess
You a
like my
roommate?
point is, yeah, you want to come over?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
I'll
I'm
race you
moving to
guys.
Pete's house.
And yeah, is there's a I don't know. It's just like the whole open shut nature of something that is like a storyline. I think doesn't lend itself to like the actual struggles of working through mental health because it's sort of a lifelong thing.
Valid.
Yeah, that's something you'd more of need like a One Piece length thing.
A Chicago
1000
Fire
shit.
length thing that's
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
20 seasons by now. by
Like
the
think
way.
about how many episodes of Hunter x Hunter are just gone trying to get over his daddy issues.
All of them?
Yeah, exactly. So
There's a lot of them in the future that are gone just trying to get over PTSD.
yeah, that's
Can I do a minor complaint though about like the
Chicago Fire?
storylines?
how
But-
dare you? No, go ahead.
So what with episode 10 with the owner episode, I really enjoyed the owner episode, but the end of it says to be continued and it never continues. That's the end of his story. It was
Don't the
very
majority
strange.
of them say to be
Yeah, they all
continued?
say to be
Everyone.
continued.
Oh, did they?
They all-
Oh,
Every
Yeah,
single one
they all
says
say
to be
it.
continued.
shows how much I
Except
was
for the
paying attention.
Except for the last
Yeah.
one, which says the message that you brought up, though, which is why, again, it also No, Pete, that reinforces your point. That, like, again, it's like, okay, it's to be continued, which, again, also reinforces Miles' point of, like,
That's
it's like
what I
an
was thinking,
ever
yeah.
long, ever
Yeah.
going struggle. But it also kind of sets it up, especially when it changes in the last episode to
Well, you
the-
can't do that for the last episode because that would kill you. You would die.
Oh, yeah,
If
Pat
it
would
said
die.
to be continued, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If
Well,
it said to
in
be
that
continued-
context,
Open
And
and
then-
oh,
now in that context, no, though, because it's like the whole point is that it's like, oh, like you said, like if it is just about, oh, mental health is a never going struggle, then yeah, to be continued, right? But like in this case, it's like, oh no, closed and shut at the end, or not closed and shut, but because obviously it's not what the
Yeah, it
the
doesn't.
message
It doesn't
is.
like shut it up, right? It just says like this is what's happening. Like here's the lesson that you've gotten from these episodes. Like this is adapting 3 novels, things that have been like made into a stage play. There's a live action TV show where Hugh Laurie plays Dr. Irabu.
Really?
that'd be sick.
Yeah, would
That
be
is
so cool.
sick.
And Japanese Olivia Wilde plays
Mayumi. Yeah.
I'm sold.
Jumi or whatever, Jusan. And so, that's where we are.
Is the Vicodin? What's inside of the
the vitamin shot.
vitamin shot? It's
Oh my
Vicodin.
god. I loved how oh my god. I was on a bunch of Vicodin when I was a freshman in high school because I had really bad migraines and that's what they gave me.
Hell yeah.
And
You like to party.
and really connected with House. Also watched all of Degrassi really high at like 3 a.m. and it was great. just over the course of.
I think
multiple
House did
months.
that once in season 5.
I believe
Whatever it takes.
Did you connect with Drake?
it.
Did you
no.
connect
Wheelchair
with Drake
Jimmy?
getting shot?
Does it look like I've been shot, Cat?
I connect with Drake getting shot because I want that motherfucker dead.
With Drake being shot. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Whoa.
We
Whoa.
we
Is that breaking news?
Wheelchair Jimmy is a different entity.
Oh, he gets
Good
shot.
news, guys.
In
Yeah,
Degrassi.
he gets shot.
Oh,
That's how he
okay.
ends
In
up
the
in the
show.
wheelchair. Yeah.
He does.
Oh, okay.
There was
I
a-
never watched
there was a
it.
rare
I was too busy
Canadian
watching
school
Chicago Fire. I just, I was not watching Degrassi as a kid.
At your
I did
3
not.
a.m. Vicodin pain fueled 72nd hour of being awake was Chicago Fire, not Degrassi. That explains the differences between us, Pat.
Mm.
I think something we didn't discuss much at all so far is the very unique animation style that this has going for it, with the rotoscoping and the sort of mixed media thing going on.
That was
Go ahead.
That was really interesting, honestly, because when it's going in between, when Mayumi is coming out of the the regular animation style into the rotoscoping, it feels very weird, but the use of it is very interesting to me, and seeing how that really changes really feels unsettling, and I feel like that adds to the atmosphere of the show itself, adding into the horror and the confusion of the show compared to what we typically view as regular life. I think that is a very useful, very well used tactic throughout the show, especially with them showing actual facial expressions in certain moments, especially in an example of this is especially in the phone episode where he gets to the karaoke bar, and they just say, yeah, you can go ahead and have a seat. Oh wait, we're full. And then he goes from his animated face to his regular face, and then how he tries to put on this brave face, but as soon as he leaves, he's just distraught. I like the way that they used his actual face to show the pain behind his behind the face that he was showing. Personally,
I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it as much as I normally do, the avant-garde arty things, and I understood why it was doing it, and I thought it did a really good job in the context of the show. The only art complaint I would have is the jump cuttiness of it at certain points, especially around Irabu. I was trying to just piece together, oh, he's in cat form or rabbit head form, and when he's like this, and he's child in this, and then adult in that. I don't know. There was just a lot of that going on that I was trying to piece together, and maybe I just missed it. You guys can tell me that, but
So
yeah.
my interpretation of that was that it was an id, ego, super ego breakdown of his character, with the bearhead being the id, the youngest one being the super ego, and the adult but not bear guy being the ego. Thought that sort of fit with a psychiatric show, and the personalities match relatively well, especially the id with the bear.
Fair enough.
I think the visual style of the story was incredible. I think it was so much fun, but I think at the same time, I think it's a little bit of a detriment to the story, because I was looking, especially in these avant-garde style storytellings, where I'm trying to pick up pieces of visual clues that are happening throughout the story and trying to pick that up. I felt like there was so much happening in so many scenes. It was hard to sort of focus. So I know for example, my first idea of this was when I was seeing the people look like Paper Mario characters, except for the main character. He's a rendered human. I was like, oh, I wonder what that's supposed to mean. And you get into this cycle of trying to find symbolism and imagery and all of this within the story because it's so colorful and it's so like out there and there's so much stuff happening where like I kind of got lost in the sauce and it's like a positive and a negative at the same time.
Specifically, I think that when it came to the paper edges, it's very I forget the term that is used for it, but essentially it's that we as humans don't really view other humans always as other living beings with a bunch of stuff going on. We view them as kind of like background characters, and you can see that in episode 9 where when at the end where he like rips off his shirt and just does the will you forgive this cute face type of thing, and you start to see these like the flat characters pop into these like actual human characters. I think that that's what it's supposed to mean. It's supposed to mean that we don't view them as people because we've got our own things going on until they become relevant.
Oh, I got a really different. Well, I guess that's part of it too, but specifically with episode 9, where I thought like his character as a child actor went from people laughing with him towards the end where people were laughing at him because he was unwilling to change who he was as a person. I mean, like I understand like that's the narcissism aspect of that episode, but like he tried to be not be the person that he was when he was younger because that's where he had his success and he like couldn't. And so that's like the message I got from episode 9. So it's interesting to see that you saw like a different thing in the audience and I didn't catch that. So I mean that's something really cool with the story. I just feel like sometimes it's just like a little bit too much, and that's where I'm feeling.
Oh no, I get that. I feel like that's another episode that I've really connected with because I have narcissistic tendencies. So it's something that like that watching it felt a little too close to home. Like I really enjoyed that episode particularly, but I also really didn't vibe with it because I relate so much to the content in the show. So
yeah, I don't know. I agree. I thought because you see the people once they start mattering, like pop out into 3D, right? And like the rotoscoping and everything happens like during episodes of whatever they're going through to some extent. I also liked how like the animals had connections and like trying to tease that out, like why the given animal was chosen for the given person.
That was cool.
So that was really
Yeah.
fun. I was a little sad they explained the canary thing because I thought I would
Same.
get that, but
And the ending, like in general, I felt like it was like came up like they were like wrapping up episode 11 and then they kind of did like the finale in like 4 minutes with the canary. I felt like that went like super fast. I'd rather they didn't tell us and they just showed us.
well, you'd
Yeah.
have to. You just show a canary dying in a
No,
coal
no,
mine?
no. Because like, what was the message that they flash at the end? It's like oh god, I wish I remember off the top of my head. To 9 anime we go. See if I can find it real quick.
I didn't like so I almost feel like that the way it ended reflected a lot of how it felt like to me during the show though too, how a lot of these things get resolved because like that I guess that would be another complaint of mine. It's a very minor one, but like everything just kind of resolves itself in a lot of these episodes. It feels like does Irabu's like and certain episodes he definitely does help the person go through things, but it also just felt like, oh, okay, it's 18 minutes into the episode, it's time to wrap it up, and the person figures it out or something. It just felt very repetitive in that sense to me. I don't know, but Pete, what did it say at the
The
end?
last scene says no one is perfect, and like I feel like they didn't have to. This might just be a me thing. I'll be completely honest. I might just be nitpicking. Like I got that. Like I got that the whole time I was watching it. Like I don't
It'd
think
be like if you were watching like Saving Private Ryan and then the last
war's bad.
Yes, I was literally gonna say war is bad at the end.
It's like yeah, I know no one's perfect. Yeah.
I guess I'll also say that like remember this is like adapting a book, that was like written from like 2000 2006. This is in 2009, and like as a society, you know, I don't know about Japan, right? But like in over here, you know, we've done a lot to sort of normalize talking about mental
For
health
sure.
and all of that, you know. So the sort of like, you know, we all know pretty like inherently the like it's okay to not be okay sort of jazz now, and
Yeah.
that's a little whatever. But for a long period of time, that wasn't known, and so if you're watching an older thing, that you know that
Yeah.
you might actually have to paste that, you know.
I will say it doesn't lower my rating or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's just one of those things.
Sweet. All right. Do we want to do closing thoughts just because we're approaching well over an hour now? Not approaching, we are well over an hour now.
Yes,
Maybe anything else we wanted to say, we can definitely add in our closing remarks. So sweet. Miles, why don't you kick us off with your final score and closing thoughts and yada yada?
Yeah, I really liked this. I thought it was good. It made me do some like introspection and stuff. It hit, you know, close to home because I deal with some of these issues, and it, you know, it made me glad that I had gone through, you know, sort of the stuff I have in order to, as much as I can, curb and, you know, mitigate the mental illnesses that I have. So I thought it did a good job of showing that. I think it did a good job of showing that like while these things are hard and struggles and stuff, that like life can continue and you can, you know, contain them. I feel like sometimes, you know, mental illness is either shown to be like impossible to overcome or like, oh, it's actually like maybe a good thing or whatever, and it's like not. Um, so, you know, I like just showing like a positive representation of like going to get help and like working through it and getting better to like varying degrees depending on the person. And like some people continuing to do things like over the course of the few episodes you see in like the background or whatever. I'm glad Bando got to hit his home run.
and beam that guy.
Yes. Anyways, I would give this a 9 out of 10. I really liked it.
9 out of 10 for Miles. All right, Kat, what about you?
Yeah, so same vein as Miles, I also deal with some of the things that were shown in the show, and I related to them very heavily. It also really really helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin when it comes to the way that I feel about things sometimes, because feeling odd makes you feel terrible. Like feeling off makes you feel terrible. And when you have some of these mental disorders, it is absolutely like it feels like you're ostracizing yourself when you don't really mean to. And the thing about the show that I really enjoyed outside of just that of just those messages were the fact that when you watch through it, you can actually see the overlap of the time, because I felt like the reason why why all of this was happening at the same time was because, I mean, he was taking like so many patients at the same time trying to work through a lot of the stuff that was going on. And you could see that through like in episode 2, they like Mayumi is reading Tomorrow, which is the book that the novelist in episode 3 prides himself on. Like, and just having and I'm sure there's more Easter eggs that kind of like overlap with each other. If you watch it again a second time, there's like foreboding some of these later episodes about different things. And I really enjoyed like those Easter eggs that, you know, like would reward you on a second watch, personally. And because of that, I'm giving this a 9 as well.
9. Alrighty. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, as I said before, I think this is more of a not for me rather than me not thinking the show was good. I think it had a lot of aspects that were pretty well done. I think like visually this was like super fun to watch. And I voiced my complaints throughout the story. I do think like this would be better as like a movie and cutting out some of the filler. And I still think you would have got the message. I think that would have been my preferred avenue of adapting this novel. Yeah, a lot of complaints with the first half. Thoroughly enjoyed the second half. And yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. The OP is a banger, by the way. I love the OP. It's so much fun.
Interesting. I didn't love the OP, but I did love the ED.
You are upside down.
I liked the ED. Man.
Sometimes you bring me down.
Is that the opening?
That's the
Chicago
OP.
Fire?
That's the Chicago Fire.
It does have banger music. Pete, Jesus, Jay. What about you?
Jay.
That we were just talking about Pete. That's what happened there. I promise. You are so much more handsome than Pete is. I promise
Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
You're still.
I know you know.
You though, Pete. You're like number 2 in my opinion, Pete.
Are you talking to me? You're talking to me?
Pete.
Oh, okay.
Pete.
I'm hurt right now. I don't want to talk.
I'll let the rest of you fight amongst yourselves on who's 3 through 5. So, yeah. Honestly, I didn't like this as much as I thought I was going to like it, if I'm being real. I wish that there was a little bit more interconnected story, but that's more of a me thing. Like, we were talking about it with Pete before, or I was talking about it with Pete beforehand, and he kind of mentioned that he recognizes that this is something that seems pretty solid, but just not for him. And I think that I kind of lean in the same direction, but I like it a little bit more just because it is somewhat in my ballpark. It just didn't really it was missing something. It was missing something, similar to my complaints about a current seasonal that's coming out, where it's also a weird show that's missing something. The pros of the show, really unique animation style, great voice acting. I liked the animal metaphors a lot, and there's a lot to just dig into in general. Plus Mayumi. Mayumi is upping the score for me personally. She's just great. I really enjoyed her. I like the way that the story is interconnected quite a bit, like with the novel, as was mentioned earlier, and the magazine and the baseball game all showing up. Like I liked those sorts of things. If you're somebody who likes references to past episodes and things that like kind of do callbacks, you'll enjoy that. The cons that I would say for this, the soundtrack really isn't anything to write home about. The story is kind of hard to follow at points, which, maybe certain people will enjoy that, but for me personally, I wanted a little bit more closure at points, but like I said earlier, I think that it fits the theme of mental illness. And I would say honestly, like, if it hits close to home, it might be a con for you because it is a pretty accurate depiction of mental illness in a lot of ways. Even as someone who can't relate to a lot of the mental illness shown, I could see that. So with all those things considered, I'm giving this like an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. All right. And yeah, for me, I talked a lot about my frustrations, I think, earlier. I kept I guess I wonder if it helped that I came in not expecting to like it and then I liked it more or not. I really don't know. I think a lot of my frustrations are very similar to what Pete and Jay just said. But at the same time, I really liked a lot of the stuff, like how they showed the yips and how they talked about the anxiety of that the owner goes through of trying to just leave behind better work than what was done before him and things like that. Like I thought that they really highlighted a lot of the non-OCD stuff really well for me because that in a way that I was able to relate to it. And the OCD stuff again, I can't relate to because I don't have it, but from my understanding, it seems like they depicted it really well. So I don't know. I had a really good time watching this, much more than I thought I would. And I think I had like a 7.5 in my head. So I'm gonna have to default down to a 7 because stick it to the man, I guess. Stick it to that weird doctor. No, I don't know. We didn't really talk about him too much. The doctor that came in and explained everything, the exposition bot, or Fukui, he was really good. I enjoyed him. It felt a little cheap to just have an exposition dump, but at the same time, they made it fun. I think, or fun enough that it didn't feel that bad, and it also fit the vibe of the show too.
It was
the
quick.
jump cutting. Yeah, it was quick too.
It was
Which definitely
useful
helped.
too because it let them have Irabu do things that were bad
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
crazy and chaotic, and then they had like a real doctor come in and be like, no.
Don't do that. Yeah.
It's also really helpful because, like, in a show where it's trying to depict mental illness very, very accurately, but also like have fun with the show, it's helpful to have somebody that like breaks the fourth wall and says, "Hey, we're having fun here, but this is what's actually going on. This is a serious thing." And I really enjoyed that they didn't try and like roll that into Irabu. You know what I mean?
I agree. I do like that they kept him very silly throughout. But yeah, that means our average score for Watch Club today is a 7.8, which is 0.13 below the 7.93 score on Mal that Welcome to Irabu's office does have. And yeah, I guess that wraps up our discussion. Be Welcome to Irabu's office. So I feel like I've said that like 3 times. I don't know. Whatever. Miles, what are we watching next time we meet?
Here we go. Where are we? Here we are. In third place, we have Uma Musume Pretty Derby.
We take those, baby.
We beat the
That's
haters.
a legacy point. That's a dub, bro.
That is gaining its 8th legacy point.
That's a dub.
Jesus.
We're climbing the tower, coming back to our Tower of God conversation.
You are the Rachel of the nominations.
Somehow not a horse girl in Tower of God. So
Yeah,
Yes.
Not yet.
yeah, so far is the big thing to say there.
In second place is O Maidens in their Savage season. And in third place,
First
place.
in first place, whatever, the show that I'm listing third, the winner in first place is Record of Lotus.
Woo!
So Lotus, the one J nominated.
Shout out to the Lodos soldiers for showing up.
We had really good participation this time. It still isn't quite at the level of that one time where it was Gundam versus Uma Musume, but
That was incredible.
it was
Yeah.
But yeah, and to be very clear, it's the OVA that we're watching from 1991 or 1990 to 1991. I don't know if there is anything else, but I don't know. Just figured we should clarify. But yeah, Record of Lodos War, and yeah, that's what we're watching for our next Watch Club episode. So now, in honor of Pride Month, we are nominating shows that have LGBTQIA plus themes, characters, storylines, anything along those lines. Those are what our nominations are going to be based around. So Pete, because you have basically clinched yourself with what you are nominating, why don't you give a good example of what kind of shows we're nominating this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is really the only anime that I know of that has like trans representation. So I'm nominating a show called Wandering Sun.
Skip and Loafer.
I was just about to say Skip and Loafer was literally last year.
Yes. Okay. Let me main characters.
Okay.
Also, Tokyo Grandfathers or Tokyo Godfathers.
You're making good points. I wish I thought of this before I said it. Way to make me look like a dick, bro.
Well, we can't all be thinkers, you know? It's okay. God, that would be really embarrassing if you said that on like an anime podcast or something.
It's like we're a Chicago Fire podcast.
Thank goodness we are. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Is there a trans character in Chicago Fire?
There's not a trans character in Chicago Fire, but there's a trans character in 911 Lone Star, which makes it an infinitely better show.
Ah, there you go. You got me there, Kat.
I don't think Tom Selleck would allow a trans character.
That's not.
That's Blue Bloods.
No, absolutely not. It's like the Law and Order reboot.
They'd be the one getting murdered at the beginning of the episode or something. Donnie Wahlberg would have to go down.
It's me, Donnie Potatoes.
I advocate for trans people. I won't have a trans people in this. I won't have a trans person in this goddamn show, but I'll advocate for them.
A lot of things that we can clip that make you seem awful.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a loaded episode for sure.
It is absolutely a loaded episode.
Well, Kat, what are you nominating for Pride Month?
I was looking for shows that one of our Yuri and LGBTQ friends of the podcast would co-sign, and she recommended me. Maria Watches Over Us.
Okay, see, it's good I didn't take Cats because that was one I was considering.
There you go. Alrighty,
I've
sweet.
already watched it, and it would save me time.
That's your number one.
Smart. Jay, what about you?
So, at first I decided I was thinking whether or not I should use my head or my heart for this, and I thought that in the spirit of Pride Month, I would use my heart. But then I also figured out that using my heart was also my head, and I decided to be brave. So, I am picking the anime of the year for 2024. Bang Brave, Bang Bravern.
Hell yeah. That's like 3 first place votes in a row Jay has gotten from me the past few clubs. Sweet. Yeah, I do need to watch that. That is in my watch list still. I've not started it yet. So, sweet. Miles,
Get a Kono big wave while you drink it or watch it.
I could go get one for sure, and I will. Miles, have you got your show, or are you still figuring it out?
I am good. So I was thinking about Maria Watches Over Us, but Kat took that. And then I was thinking about maybe doing some like G-Witch or something, but then the mecha, don't want to split the mecha vote, that's like
Good
only,
idea.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is go with something that I think will just make Pete not very happy in the spirit of Pride Month.
Citrus?
No. I thought
That's what
about
I
it.
was thinking too. That's why
I
my
was
mouth
going there
went
too.
agape for a second.
I considered it, but I wanted to be happy during this.
You being happy is wild.
So I am. We did just talk about my horrible struggles with mental illness
Yeah.
for like an hour. So I am going to do a show Pete dropped. I'm in love with the villainous.
Okay.
I did drop it.
Yep.
That was the other show that she also co-signed.
I don't think I'd be bad. I think it's just bad.
Yeah. Who likes watching bad stuff? Me, but
Me?
not you.
I don't like watching
I'm gonna watch
mid
God's
stuff.
games we play right after we're done with this.
Okay,
English
Pat. What are we nominating?
I have to pee so bad.
Then name your show.
Yeah,
and we can do the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I will be nominating Sarazan Mai because it involves LGBTQIA plus characters from a gay couple to a open interpretation character in the first episode as well. And it's a show I think that examines those themes really well and examines the conflict and the social pressure that they feel a lot. And it's a banger of a show that not a lot of people have watched, I think, which is surprising because it's what's his name's work. The guy who did
This is the Utna guy?
Yuri Kuma. He's Yuri Kuma.
Ah.
So you guys would really like this. I've been recommending it to you, all of you, for all of like 4 years now.
Yeah, motherfucker,
and
I've been telling you to watch like 800 shows for the last 4 years.
I will watch Code Geass someday. I will finish it.
Watch Brotherhood. Please.
Watch Hot Speed Etoile.
No, Cat.
Come on.
Wait, what? There's a
Come on.
serious drop off from those two. Nah, I'll get to them someday. Yeah. But anyways, all right, that wraps up Watch Club for us. Thank you so much for listening. And Pete, take it away.
Yes, if you made this far and you want to support us, best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Next week, got a fun one. We are going to be reviewing the Haikyuu movie. Miles is just, oh god, he's just drooling at the mouth. Can't wait to talk about volleyball. So looking forward to that. That's will be like a special one. It's on like a later day. I'll be dropping it on like a Friday, but look forward to that. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, in 2 weeks, we'll be watching The Record of Lodos War. Thanks. And we will see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.